Hey there, this is the guy that was busy playing Zelda Zone Zero as well as testing Talene team comps, and welcome to this AFK journey video. So I've been playing quite a few of the game modes with Talene, and what I'm going to share in this video is probably the most optimal team comp together with Talene right now for both the PvE side as well as the PvP side. So the reason why is because I think Talene is a very unique character in a sense. She is very powerful, but she is also very delicate. So she will require a little bit of planning in order for her to fully utilize her abilities, as well as become that like OP unit that people want her to be. So in today's video, I'll start to talk about the different core units for the team, as well as share some potential substitutes for the different positions. So if you guys do have one of those units, which I'm going to mention later on, you can use other units, although the efficiency might be less, but you should still be able to achieve the same effect. So without further ado, I'm going to start with the very first unit besides Talene over here, which is Dani. So after multiple testings, I'll say that the best tank which suits what Talene wants to do, or if you want to build a team around her as the main unit, is actually Dani. Because for Friesto, for Torrent, for Brutus, they are all really tanky. They're all pretty decent as a frontliner, so they are decent substitutes. But the best tank together with Talene, I'll say, is Granny, because of Granny's ability to stall, because of Granny's ability to root the enemy, reduce their energy, right, taunt them away from the other allies to protect them, as well as her ability to reduce the haste of the enemies, as well as self-heal. So she has a lot as a standalone unit, and she synergizes really well with Talene because she's able to buy time for Talene, right, to revive. She's able to root the enemy in place so they can't do anything, and Talene can just unleash their ultimate on them. So this is a very special trait where I think other than Dani, Friesto can do as well, right, with the spam ultimate as well as a seasonal skill to hold the enemy in place for taunts. But for Dani's case, I think Dani is way more efficient in stalling, right? Is way more efficient in controlling the enemy compared to the other tank. And for today's build, it will be more Wilder centric. So using Dani, right, being the Wilder's tank, is going to fit into the factional bonus really well as well. So that's for the tank compartment. So you can use any other tank, right? But Dani fits in the role of tanking, of stalling, of redirecting damage away from Talene or your other allies. At the same time, if your Talene is at EX15 like this Talene over here, if you have the EX15 skill for Talene, you will be able to upgrade the Pyre of Renewal skill, right? This is something that people have been commenting about my pronunciation. This skill, right, to be able to provide a revive ability for Dani. So this will effectively make Dani like a mini Torrent, on top of being able to burn the enemy while healing at the same time, which increases the damage output as well as the tankiness of your Dani in the front line. So that is the strength of Dani. So what will happen is Dani can ultimate, hold all the enemy in place, and as you guys can see, there's this fire animation. It will continuously burn the target. Right, so you guys have seen my previous Talene first impression video where Dani single-handedly just burned the enemy down, right, by rooting them in place, by preventing them from doing anything. So yes, Friesto can do the same, but I think Dani will be the most efficient in doing this role. So that's why I chose her as the core tank. So the next unit which I'm gonna put into the team is none other than Hewin. So you can obviously use other healers like Damien as well as Smokey in the team. In fact, I will be putting Smokey as one of the substitutes because I think Smokey is a unit which can be used as a support as well as a carry for specific situations. For example, against deficit pushes. For example, in this stage later on, I'll have to use Smokey because of the enemies present over here. So I'll do a run with this team, but I'll talk about the core units first. So the healer of choice, I'll say the best one is Hewin, because if you have Hewin with her EX weapon, you will have heal on top of damage reduction. So Talene's ultimate will require her to stand on a spot to spew fire at the enemy. So when she's in that fixed position, she's vulnerable to the damage output from your enemy. So being able to heal her to keep her HP healthy, as well as reduce the incoming damage from the enemy team, is really, really important. So that's why I think out of all the different healers, Hewin is the best one. Okay, you can obviously use other healers, obviously you can use other shielders as well, but I think in terms of the ability to provide sustain, right, while increasing damage reduction for Talene. Hewin is the only one available right now. So that's my thought about this core. With regards to the other two units, I think it can be really flexible in a sense. Usually, right, we will definitely recommend Iron because Talene is a mage damage dealer. So being able to pull everyone together into her AoE damage as well as provide magic damage reduction is really helpful. At the same time, I think because we are using two Wilders unit, using Iron also gives you a little bit more stats from the factional bonus point of view. So that's for Iron's case. I won't say Iron is a core member, but Iron will be a good addition. Depending on the situation, I think for PvP side, Iron will be pretty important in a sense. There will be a lot of repositioning depending on your meta, and Iron just allows Talene to maximize her damage output no matter the situation, right, in most cases, because it just pulls everyone together in this spot, and that spot is just big enough for Talene's ultimate to cover everyone. So the very last unit I'll say would be rather flexible. You can obviously use Damien, right? For this PvE content itself, we are currently pushing at a deficit with enemies with a bunch of control. So I will be using Smokey for this testing. So you can use Smokey, right? I think Smokey is just an amazing addition to any team, be it PvP or PvE. Although I think from a PvP point of view, you would rather have Damien in your team because Smokey is quite easy to counter in most cases, and Damien is just more annoying. With regards to the other substitute, other than the Smokey Damien swap, if you are, you know, you don't want to use Iron, right? Or if you don't have Iron train up, but surprisingly, if you have Cassidy train up, you can obviously also use Cassidy. Cassidy has magic defense reduction as well as the ability to reposition enemies. So it's like a weaker version of Iron to a certain extent, although Iron is just way more powerful because of his insta cast. So that is one substitute that you guys can use, which sort of fits the role of Iron but just to a lesser degree. And on top of Smokey as well as Damien, you can obviously use Rowan in your team. So this way you have a little bit of factional bonus while having quite a decent synergy, because what Rowan can provide is energy for your whole team, so your whole team can spam better, right? Talene has more energy to keep her ultimate going, right, at the cost of lesser HP. Hewin can spam the ultimate to keep your whole team healthy, and then Danny can spam her ultimate to just keep the enemies in place. So this is one viable team setup that you guys can use. So in general, I would say the best one would probably be this setup for PvP related stuff. Maybe if you have Damien instead, I think full Wilders comp basically is the way to go with our dear Talene right now, because the issue with Talene is you will need to be able to store your enemies out in certain situations, and you would also need to be able to heal really well at the same time. So based on those two criteria, the only two classes which has this sort of healing as well as control altogether is Mauler and Wilders. So I think for the Graveborn side of things, once the next Ludovic come out, once the next Graveborn healer come out, we might be able to form a alternative Graveborn idea team with Talene, but right now I think it's quite tough, at least not with pure Graveborn, right? You can probably do Wilders Graveborn, like maybe you can take out this two unit and then you can put in like Neru or Igor, let's say if you're dealing with Vala or Sylvina or like whatever different situations you want, right? So it's never going to be like Graveborn and Talene core. So I think the best core faction to work with Talene is Wilders. I would say that Mauler is okay, but Mauler doesn't have a lot of control. So Mauler can work, but it's probably not the best choice out there, although Smokey is really powerful. So if you can use Smokey, just use Smokey, right? Provides so much for the team and provides quite a bit for Talene, and insane synergy with Talene, because Talene will always be in his cloud as long as he's not repositioned. So for this showcase, I will use the Smokey team variant, because for this team there's quite a bit of annoying units that stun, that reposition. So I kind of want to showcase a mix of both Talene's power as well as use Smokey's power to carry her at the same time. So without further ado, I'm going to start the battle. So my artifact of choice is Cascade Spell, and let's start the battle. So I'll go at one time. So I can, okay, I'll just go at 2 times, because the only thing which I will need to spam my ultimate for will be my Iron's ultimate. So Smokey's first ultimate is down. So right here, as you guys can see, my whole team is really healthy. So I can use Aldir Iron skill to pull the enemy closer towards Smokey's skill, also pulling enemies closer towards Talene's AoE ultimate, as you guys can see. And as long as Talene can channel her skill uninterrupted, she will be a beast of a damage dealer while providing heal for your whole team at the same time. So for this team, right now what I'm showing here, we have 2 win conditions, which is number 1, right, our Smokey third ultimate, because I have Smokey with the EX weapon. Number 2, we have Talene just melting people down. Unfortunately, Hewin got melted there, but Talene's going to use a flame once again. So this is where she's going to do damage. So this is her being uninterrupted and healing. So Danny is rooting the frontliner in place and slowing them down. Unfortunately, for this time around, Smokey is being interrupted a lot. So I don't know whether or not my Smokey can survive. Let's hope Smokey can. Okay, so Smokey is using the second ultimate. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull the units away from Smokey, right? So that they will go to Talene. So Talene can now function as a semi-tank because she got multiple lives. Unfortunately, my units got brought further away by Lumon. So this is the annoying part. This is the super annoying part with Lumon. Yeah, this is where I think Iron is quite unreplaceable, because he's probably the only unit that can reposition enemies. Okay, so this is the Smokey team right here. So unfortunately, the timer was off. So let me just restart the battle again. I think I might have to reposition a little bit. This is the problem with some of these AFK stages. Like, they are very manual centric. Like sometimes you might even have to use your granny's ultimate manually to stop Lumon from doing what he wants to do, because yeah, see, like he just charges Smokey away. But at the same time, I think the addition of Talene provides additional sustain, additional stats, as well as an additional win condition for your team, because she offers so much damage if she's uninterrupted. And then, right, if you can't win with her, you still have the Smokey win condition. So the other units are there to sort of buy time for Smokey as well as Talene to do what they want. So this right here is basically Talene being the win condition. Okay, so I don't need to wait until Smokey's ultimate. But if let's say I reach the situation where Smokey uses the ultimate, then I can still use Smokey team as the win condition. And one thing that's extremely good for this team is the auto power of this team. So I'll just auto battle. There is a caveat, right? Against certain situations where there's a bunch of control. For example, just now we have Lucius, we have Lumon that's able to just reposition unit and stuff. You might need to use your Iron ultimate manually. But at the same time, right, for example, against enemies like this, if you can survive long enough, as you guys can see the power of sustain for this team, you can just rely on Talene for the mass magical damage to just finish the enemy off. So Talene's biggest weakness is control, actually. So if the enemies have no control and you have enough sustain to keep her going, this is basically what she can do, right? So this is auto battling. I have actually pushed quite a few stages with this team combination or this team core idea, swapping out certain units under different situations depending on the stage itself. So it has been pretty useful. Other than Talene, other than Smokey being the win condition, sometimes the Pyre of Renewal on top of Danny is also another win condition for your team. So this is, I'll say, only achievable with Danny to a certain extent, because Danny can taunt, draw them in, and then root them in place. So on top of rooting them and controlling them, you are burning them with the fire damage at the same time. So I think the only closest unit that can do that is Freyasto. So if you have Freyasto, you can do that, but I think Freyasto is way more expensive. So if let's say you are, I'll say like a more low budget player, right? You don't have so many Celestial Hypogean, you have Talene, maybe you have Scalita, you have Reina, but you don't have Freyasto, then you can use Danny over here. Okay, so either way, I think both of these tanks work. And in specific situations, I think Danny is actually way stronger, right? In situations where you need multiple controls on the enemies, I think Danny is a lot stronger. So you guys can see I'm just talking to you guys as my battle is running on auto. So basically all the units are doing what they need to do. And right now, I think Talene is a unit which will require quite a bit of healing support. So I would say for the Graveborn side of things, once Ludovic come out, which is the Graveborn healer comes out, things might change. So there might be more Graveborn variant with Talene. But right now, I would say the best partners would be the Wilders for right now, right? Maybe Maulers, although I don't think Mauler is that good. So if you guys have better team ideas for our dear Talene over here, be it PvP or PvE, let me know, because for this team I think it's very viable in PvP as well, because most of these units right here, they are very strong for PvP. So the only units which I think you want to take out or you should replace will be Smokey, because Smokey is not that powerful in PvP per se. But for PvE purpose, for deficit pushing, you will require maybe some Smokey action for certain stages, because his ability to deal massive HP percentage damage is quite powerful, as you guys can see over here. So control, right, burn, heal, and then you use Smokey ultimate. Okay, so this is one way or an alternative to Smokey team. And if let's say the enemies are not too tanky, they don't have self-heal, you can actually replace Smokey with other units as well. So this team is relatively flexible, building on the idea of Talene being one of the main carries of the team, or one of the main win conditions. So yeah, I guess that's pretty much it. Just a very simple team sharing with what I feel is the best team setup for her right now. Let me know down in the comment section below what you feel about this team, right? Whether or not you guys have a better idea, or you guys have team combinations or team unit synergies that you guys want me to try with her. I'll definitely give it a try, and if I find something interesting, or if I find something that you guys might be interested in, I will definitely post it on the channel. So that's it for this video. Thank you very much for tuning in. I'll see you guys again in my next video. Bye guys.